Filing taxes, something that you have to do in any country. Although in the Netherlands already quite a lot of things are pre-filled in. Mm-hmm. Do internationals have to take care of that themselves, or is it a matter of just accepting what their employer already filled in? For that topic, Steve Ten Bokum, welcome, of Expat-Service.
Thank you. Well, basically, for most expats, it is not as straightforward as that, because what the tax authorities have pre-filled in for you is information that they receive from your employer and Dutch financial institutions, like the banks, investment firms, things like that. So for most Dutch people who've lived here their whole life, they've amassed equity or income that's mostly Dutch. So everything for them is pre-filled in. And that's also the notion you hear a lot of taxes, just click, and you're done. For a lot of expats, it just simply isn't that case. They have a lot of things back home, or because of that situation, they can make use of a special ruling. And this changes their tax return quite a bit.
Could you opportunistically say anything that the tax system doesn't know about? Just don't tell them. So if you have money in another country...
I wouldn't recommend it for the very simple reason that a lot of things that are still in another country are tax exempt in the Netherlands, for example, because the other country has the right to tax that. Do note that you still have the obligation to report everything if you live here. But there's also the problem that especially within the European Union, tax authorities of different nations do talk to each other. They do share
even if
information.
The computer systems do not yet.
Yeah, exactly. So the balance of your Swedish bank account, for example, might not be listed in the tax authorities page.
Yeah.
But if the Dutch tax authorities have reason to believe that there might be something there, they will still talk to the Swedish authorities to get some information.
Quite a number of the Dutch transfer some of their money to a foreign bank somewhere in the European Union to get a higher interest rate. That may be known. But the internationals may already have some money and they have to file that in their Dutch tax return. Will it be taxed?
It depends a bit on what type of account that is and per country where that might be located. You see, as if you live in the Netherlands, then you need to report your world income, as we call it here. So all income and assets from all over the world for that reporting period, the tax year. But depending on which country we're dealing with, like for example a Swedish bank account, then we would need to look at the tax convention between the Netherlands and Sweden to see what it exactly says about that type of equity. And depending on what happens there, the Netherlands will either tax that bank account, or they will say that you can claim double taxation relief for that bank account. So
let me dive a little bit deeper into the ownership of money on a bank account. Many countries levy a tax on the interest. That's not the way it works in the Netherlands.
No, but yes. This is a bit of a complex matter, but basically what we currently do is we take the value your bank account and other assets had at the beginning of the tax year, January 1st. And then based on that value, an income is calculated. Basically, there is an expected percentage of the value that the authorities expect you to earn out of any given asset. For bank accounts, for example, this is 1.03% off the top of my head.
And that's pretty interesting because it has been a debate in many court cases.
Yes.
The tax system expects you to make a certain return on investment by interest or by... raising share prices.
Or the rents you collect from a home that you rent out.
Based on that virtual
fictional.
You pay
taxes. Yeah, basically that's fictional income they calculate is then taxed within box 3. But that fictional income is supposed to represent income like interest, like rent, like dividends. So yeah, it's not completely what you actually earned, but it is supposed to represent that. But yeah, like you said, this has been debated within court cases, and actually it has been declared that this way of calculating a fictional return on investment is against European law. So we are moving towards a system where we tax what you actually earned out of those assets. It's just taking some years to get that legislation through and finalized. The expectation is 2027 is that new system will be in place. But for now, actually, as of this year, it will be possible to appeal this fictional income and provide your actual income and get taxed on that if this doesn't match.
It is possible to appeal, but there are also court rulings that say you have to appeal. Or at least make a statement that you disagree?
You have to officially make an appeal yourself, so you have to file that yourself. This doesn't get automatically processed. But on the other side, the authorities are also required to follow that, as long as you can, of course, prove what your actual income was. Then they are required to follow that, because there's already a court case that clearly states that they need to follow your actual income. As of this year, this will be possible to do. But we still need to wait a couple of years before the official legislation is in place.
And these things make the tax system in the Netherlands different from what is the case in other countries?
Yeah, well, most countries, if they even tax assets, they do tax them based on what you actually earned out of them, your actual income. Which is something the Netherlands doesn't do currently, of course. We are moving towards that. So this is where we usually differ a lot, and also where we get a lot of questions from expats who are new to the system about how does this now work, because it's just not something that they are familiar with.
Steve Ten Bokum of Expat-service here in Eindhoven, of the Adviesgroep in Eindhoven. Thank you very much, and we will continue to talk about this topic, taxes and money in the Netherlands.
Design, lifestyle, technology and innovation. More on Podcasts for Brainport.